Welcome to the ultimate tour of the Occidental Caribe, an all-inclusive beachfront resort here in Punta Cana. Now, even though this is one of the cheapest all-inclusives you can book in all of Punta Cana, it offers 7 restaurants, 7 bars, 3 pools, a massive stretch of gorgeous beach, and some beachfront activities that we haven't yet seen at any other Punta Cana resort. Now, because of the layout of this property, we have divided it into 3 different sections: the east section, the central section, and the west section. But because everybody who stays at the Occidental Caribe gets dropped off at the lobby, we're going to start this tour there now. Now, your transfer will likely drop you off in front of the lobby, which is right behind me. The attendants will keep your luggage until your room is ready. If you book premium, then you will have to go to the 3rd floor to check in. But if you're like most people and booked a standard room, then you will check in at the lobby on this level. There is an ATM here in the lobby, as well as a ton of other things to show you in the central area and the west area of the property. We're starting this tour on the east side, so we'll see you at the east lobby bar first. Now, this bar serves up a variety of cocktails, Presidente beer, and coffee drinks. It has great views of the main pool and the Caribbean, but there's actually 2 lobby bars, and we prefer the one on the west side of the property, and we'll show you why when we get to that side.
Now, one thing we really enjoyed about both of the lobby bars was that they had lots of spread out open air seating, with many of the tables having fans above them, which we really appreciated in the hot and muggy Dominican weather.
On the ground level of Building 3, you're going to find a ton of shops. We saw a surf shop, a beach shop, a jewelry store, a coffee and cigar store, and even a natural beauty store. Now, I have been eyeing this hat at the surf shop. I think I'm gonna go back and get it because it's a little bigger than this one, and we're gonna be spending a lot of time at the beach and pool tomorrow. Now, speaking of the pool, we're gonna be showing you the first of 3 next.
While we make our way to the largest pool at the Occidental Caribe, we do want to mention that buildings 4 through 7 can also be located on the east side of the property.
This is the largest of the 3 pools. It has a swim-up bar, and this is where the entertainment staff have their activities. It is typical for loud music to be blasting, so if you are wanting a lively pool experience, this is the one to be at. Now, you may have noticed, though, that there are not a lot of people in the pool, and most of these loungers are empty. You're probably wondering why. It's because we are here in September, which is peak hurricane season, and kids are back in school. This happens to be one of our favorite times to visit resorts because the prices are usually lower, as well as the occupancy, but it does come with a risk because if a hurricane is in the area, it can completely destroy your plans.
As we show you a few more shots of the main pool area both during the day and at night, we do have to mention that we actually preferred the more quiet pool on the west side of the property, which we'll show you more of in a bit. But for now, it's time to show you what you can find just a few steps away from the main pool.
Next to the main pool, you'll find 2 open-air restaurants as well as the beach bar. Now, the beach bar does offer a variety of cocktails, frozen drinks, beer, sodas, and juices, along with these gorgeous views of the turquoise waters. Now, behind me, there are technically 3 open-air restaurants. So during the day, this main level here is a small poolside buffet. It offers things like burgers, nachos, salad, and desserts. In the evening, it turns into the seafood restaurant, which you do have to have reservations for. Now, we didn't make reservations for this restaurant during our stay, so if you have been here and eaten at the seafood restaurant, let us know about your experience in the comments. Now, the second level of this area is the pizza place, and we did eat there. Here you'll find personal made-to-order pizzas. We tried the barbecue chicken bacon pizza, and while we thought it was pretty good for beachside pizza, the highlight of the experience had to be the views of the water. So even if you're not interested in the pizza at all, we'd recommend going up there to check out the views.
While we show you a bit more of our beachside pizza experience, we want to hear from you. Have you booked or are you considering booking a stay at the Occidental Caribe? Or are you just tuning in for the fun of it? Let us know in the comments.
Just like the pool, we haven't had any trouble finding loungers out at the beach. We really love this beach because it has a ton of mature coconut palms. They're really pretty and provide a bunch of natural shade. So let's head out to the beach. Now, during our time at the resort, the east end of the beach has been pretty quiet. At the very end of the east part of the beach, at the edge of the property, is where you'll find the building with water sports rentals and excursions. Now that we've taken you as far east as we can on the property, we're going to meet you back at the lobby to show you the central area of the resort. Now that we're back in the lobby, we're going to start at the ground level and work our way all the way up to the top, and then we'll make it back out to the beach. Hurricane is the nightclub. Now it is 18 up. It is not open right now, but we are going to show you some footage from when we went there during our stay. On the east side of the lobby, you will find an office to book tours and transfers. Right next to that is the main buffet. It's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is open air. Right now it is closed, but we are going to show you around from our other experiences during our trip.
As we show you some footage of what can be found on the main breakfast buffet, this may be a good time to point out that the Occidental Caribe is one of the cheapest all-inclusives you can stay at in all of Punta Cana. In fact, we've seen the cheapest rooms at this resort run for as low as $92 per night, and we booked our premium suite for around $128 per night in September of 2024. But we do have to say that the buffet was one area where Occidental Caribe definitely felt like a budget resort. And I'll let Skylar tell you a little bit more about that right now.
So the selection of food here at the breakfast buffet was actually pretty decent. They have a good variety of fruits, breads, meats and cheeses, and hot stations, including a made-to-order omelet station. I do have to say, however, that the quality of this breakfast buffet was the lowest of any all-inclusive we've been to in Punta Cana. The sausage I got was more like a hot dog. The juice was quite watered down. Some of the bread was really hard. And there were actually birds eating directly off of the buffet, and the staff really didn't seem to care about it, but there were some things that we did enjoy. We really liked the passion fruit and the mango. We also enjoyed the fresh croissants, and fresh omelets from the omelet station were pretty good too.
Now moving on to the lunch on the main buffet, we once again found the variety to be quite good, but the quality of the food to be a bit lacking and overall not too fresh. But we were able to find some items that we did enjoy, such as the nacho station, the fresh papaya and passion fruit, and the cooked-to-order pasta, chicken, and squid. And while we found most of the cakes to be quite average and to pretty much all taste the same, I was able to find one dessert item that I really enjoyed.
So I totally thought I was getting strawberry ice cream. Turns out it's bubblegum, but it is really good.
Now, while most will choose to dine at one of the specialty restaurants for dinner, you can choose to dine here at the main buffet as well. And while we never actually ate an entire meal here, we did stop in to see what it offers and to grab a quick snack. Overall, we found the dinner buffet to offer many of the same items as the lunch buffet, but the presentation of the food was better and the quality of the food appeared to be a little bit better as well, as the salads looked fresher, the cakes were better decorated, and the cold cuts and cheeses appeared much more appetizing. But there were also a few things on the dinner buffet that we didn't see on the lunch buffet, including these chicken wings, which Skylar really enjoyed. Now before we show you more of what you'll find in the central portion of the resort, we do want to mention that those who book a premium level room will have an additional breakfast buffet option and an a la carte lunch option available to them. And if you're curious to see those dining experiences, be sure to watch our other Occidental Caribe episode after this one.
On the west side of the lobby is where you'll find the office for guest services, as well as the Italian restaurant. This is another restaurant that you do have to reserve. Now, just like the seafood restaurant, we didn't have time to make reservations here during our stay. So if you've eaten at the Italian restaurant and have any experiences you'd like to share, feel free to leave those in the comments. Next, we're going to head one floor up. Up here on the second floor, you're going to find 3 of the specialty restaurants, including the Dominican. Now, we did have an opportunity to eat here during our stay, so we're going to show you that experience right now. Here's the Dominican restaurant. For appetizers, I ordered the house starter, which was a variety of fried foods, while Skylar ordered the shrimp and avocado salsa. Now, he definitely out-ordered me on this one. His appetizer was really good, whereas mine felt like it had been pulled out of the fryer a few hours ago.
For entrees, I ordered the traditional Dominican stew at the recommendation of our waitress, and Jamie ordered the shrimp mofongo. Now, as far as that stew goes, I would definitely recommend it. The beef in it was super tender, and it was basically just a really solid beef stew. Now, Jamie's mofongo wasn't the best mofongo we've ever had, but it wasn't dry. The shrimp was good. The sauce on it was really good, so we would recommend that one as well. As far as the entire meal goes, overall, I would say our experience here at the Dominican restaurant was a good one, and we'd highly recommend it.
Next to the Dominican restaurant is the Japanese restaurant. This is another one that we did not have an opportunity to reserve at during our stay, but we're kind of regretting that because it does look really cool inside, and we also walked past last night and it sounded like everybody was having a really good time. Next to the Japanese restaurant is the French restaurant. We did have an opportunity to eat here, so we're going to show you that experience right now.
So first impression of this place, they have a pretty cool atmosphere here. They have a nice replica of the Eiffel Tower behind me. My only complaint is that it is quite steamy in here. I'm not sure if the air conditioning is working.
Whenever we checked in online, we were able to make requests for dinner reservations, and when we got here today, we found out that we were able to get into all 3 restaurants that we did request. Tonight we're at Paris, which is the French restaurant, and our appetizers just arrived.
Skylar's appetizer was the turkey roll, which basically tasted like a high-quality lunch meat, but he wasn't complaining. And while the plate decoration on my pate appetizer was pretty impressive, the dish itself was just okay. Next up were our soups, which included a lobster bisque for Skylar and a French onion soup for me. Unfortunately, we didn't particularly love either of them, but we still had high hopes for the rest of our meal.
So after our first 2 courses here at the French restaurant, I do gotta say that nothing has impressed us too much, but our entrees just came out and they both look really good. I also gotta mention that we've been here about a half hour now and I am sweating at this point. I came here in long pants and a long sleeve shirt thinking that formal attire may be required, but there's definitely other people here wearing shorts, sandals, and short sleeve shirts. I definitely would have done that myself if I knew they were allowed because it is very warm in here.
Now getting back to our entrees, my lobster crepe did taste good, but wasn't as great as I was hoping, while Skylar's Chateaubriand also didn't quite live up to the expectations. We'll touch a bit more on these entrees shortly, but first we're gonna move on to dessert.
Our desserts just arrived. We both ordered the creme brulee, and as soon as they came out, we both said we should have ordered just one and shared because they are huge. Now the top wasn't crunchy like I typically see on creme brulee. I would say the flavor is really good, but the texture is different from what we're used to.
So I do have to agree with Jamie. The texture of this creme brulee is quite odd. I've never had a creme brulee that has no crunch on the top, but even though the texture is quite weird, the flavor is good, and we both actually agreed that it's growing on us. I think I would actually recommend this dessert.
So we just got done eating at the French restaurant, and I think we were hoping to leave that place with some strong recommendations for what to order. Unfortunately, nothing was great, but also nothing was bad.
Now, I actually think that Chateaubriand had the potential to be really good. Unfortunately, I ordered mine a medium rare, and it came out well done. But despite being well done, it was actually still pretty tender, and the flavor was good. I do still think, though, that I would recommend the Chateaubriand. Just be prepared that it may be cooked to nowhere close to the doneness that you order it.
Now there are a couple more things we want to show you one floor up on the 3rd floor, so we'll see you there. Now up here is the business center, which also includes a library. Now the library does have a few books to choose from, and there are 2 computers and a printer in the business center. Now there's one more thing we want to show you here on the 3rd floor, and that's the premium level lounge, so we'll see you there. Now behind these doors is the premium level lounge. So if you book premium, you will check in there. There is also a bar back there. Now we didn't find the bar to offer anything that the other bars around the resort didn't, but it was nice to be able to grab a drink when we were checking in, or if the lobby bar is really busy. Now in front of the buffet is the kids' water park. It has a shallow pool as well as a few small water slides.
Now while we can't say this is the best water park we've seen at a Punta Cana resort, it was one of the better amenities we've seen for kids. And while there weren't a whole lot of kids at the Occidental Caribe during our visit, if there had been, we're sure this is where many of them would be.
Now on either side of the water park are those unique activities that we mentioned earlier. There is a trapeze and also a rock climbing wall. If the weather holds out, we're hoping to try both of them tomorrow, and we'll show you that footage now. Skylar's signing his life away to get on that trapeze. There he goes.
So fortunately the storms held out and I was able to try out the trapeze. It was a lot of fun, but it was also a little bit sketchy. They tightened my belt really tight so I could hardly breathe. And then I had to walk barefoot up the rungs of the ladder. And since the rungs are really thin, it kind of hurt my feet. And also there's no harness or anything on you when you're climbing up that ladder. So that does make it a little bit scary. But once I finally got to the swinging part, it was a lot of fun. And I would definitely recommend it if you're not too afraid of heights, because when else are you gonna have the opportunity to do trapeze on the beach?
Now, if you're looking for a bit of an adrenaline rush but prefer something slightly less sketchy than the beachfront trapeze, then the beachfront climbing wall may be the perfect option. Now, unlike climbing the ladder to the trapeze swing, you are wearing a harness when climbing the rock wall, but if you have a bit of a fear of heights, this activity still might get your heart racing.
So I just got done on the rock climbing wall. If it is something you want to try, you'll want to make sure to bring closed-toed shoes because those are required to be able to climb it. Now we do rock climb back at home and I found the wall a little bit challenging because a lot of the holds were loose and some of them were breaking off, but it was still a lot of fun. Just beyond the trapeze is the central beach area. Now during our stay, this was the busiest beach area and we'll show you more of that right now.
While the central section of the beach may have been the busiest area of beach during our stay, most of the time it still wasn't all that crowded. But because we were visiting right in the middle of hurricane season and when most of the kids were back in school, we do believe that this was one of the least busy times to visit this resort. As we show you some more footage from the central portion of the beach, we do want to point out that there was minimal sargassum on the Occidental Caribe beach during our visit, which could not be said about the other 2 Punta Cana resorts we visited just a few days later. And if you don't want to miss our experiences at those resorts, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn the notifications on. But getting back to the Occidental Caribe, we were truly amazed by the beauty of its coconut palm-lined beaches, even at night.
Now this area of the beach still has plenty of natural shade from all of these beautiful coconut palms, but we still have the west end of the property to show you, so we're gonna meet you back at the West Lobby Bar. Now this lobby bar was our favorite for a few reasons. First, it had a coffee bar which had a few different syrups to choose from, and this was the only bar where we found fresh passion fruit. Our go-to drink was the passion fruit mojito, and it was by far the best drink we had on this resort.
And one of our favorite spots to enjoy these drinks was just a few steps away at the quiet pool. But before we get to that, we have a few other things to show you.
Now on the ground level of Building 3, just under the West Lobby Bar, is Spa Caribe. Now I didn't have time to get a spa treatment during our stay, but we will show you inside.
Even though I didn't book a massage at Spa Caribe, I still really enjoyed my brief time here, as it was one of the coolest and easily the best smelling spot on the entire resort. But if you do want to enjoy a massage, facial, mani-pedi, or any other spa service, odds are you'll be able to find it here at Spa Caribe.
Next to the spa is the 24-hour clinic, and next to that is the gym. Now we found that to have the coldest air conditioning on the property, so it is a great place to stop in to cool down and grab some cold water because it is hot out here. Next to the gym is the Flip Kids Club. Now it is decorated really cute inside, and as you can see, they have a whole bunch of activities planned every day. Now just around the corner is the game room and the sports bar, so we'll see you there. So the game room has 2 pool tables, a foosball table, and a ping pong table. Next to that is the sports bar. Now there are a couple more pool tables inside at the sports bar, as well as some TVs. Now unfortunately, every time we tried to visit, there was no staff in here, so we weren't able to get a drink. And the TVs were pretty small, but thankfully there is another place on property to watch sports, and we're gonna take you there next. Now the casino does advertise having nightly sports, and it has 2 10-foot TV screens. It doesn't open until 6 p.m. It's not quite 6 yet, so we can't take you inside right now. Now we're not big gamblers, so we haven't been inside yet, but if we do make a visit before we leave, we will make sure to show you that footage now. So we did make it into the casino. They do have some slot machines and a few table games. There is a bar there, but it is an independent business, even though it's on resort property, so you do have to pay for your drinks, although they are priced reasonably. Now the theater is located down this long path, and that's where you can catch nightly shows like the one we'll show you right now.
We arrived at the theater just a few minutes prior to the 9:30 p.m. showtime, and by the time we were able to grab a drink from the theater bar and make our way to our seats, the show was just getting started. Now in case you hadn't already guessed it, this night's performance was a Michael Jackson show. And while we wouldn't say the show was any better than your typical Caribbean resort's Michael Jackson show, we did both find it to be fairly entertaining. As we show you a little more of this show, we want to know your thoughts of this resort so far. Would you consider booking a vacation here? Let us know in the comments. Now our favorite part of the show had to be this guy, who had some pretty crazy breakdancing and acrobatic skills. But the performer who played Michael Jackson was quite good too, and did pull off a pretty impressive moonwalk.
Now that you've seen the theater, we are going to show you the final pool on the property, which happens to be our favorite. But first, we're going to give you a tour of our room. So we just got checked into our room. We are in building 1 on the 2nd floor. Now, before we show you inside, we do want to acknowledge that anytime you're staying at an all-inclusive resort for $65 per person per night, you cannot expect luxury. But I still think we were both pretty excited to see this room because look at it, has these double doors and we booked a premium level suite. Sounds pretty nice, right? Let's go show you inside.
Now normally this is where we take you on a pretty detailed tour of this room, but since this particular room was so much unlike any room we've ever stayed in before, we decided to go in depth on it in our other Occidental Caribe episode, where we tell you all about why we'd never book a premium room at this resort again. So to hear all about it, be sure to check out that episode after this one. But for now, let's move on to our next pool.
Now we have made it to the pool on the west side of the property. This is the 3rd pool. Now we would consider this to be a family pool or a more quiet pool because they aren't blasting loud music here. Now this is smaller than the main pool, but there is plenty of space to spread out. It doesn't have a swim-up bar, but it has a bar only a few steps away. Now that bar is underneath the Mexican restaurant, so we'll show you a few more shots of this pool and then we'll head over there next. So we almost made it through this entire tour without rain, but it has started to rain quite a bit. Thankfully, we are staying dry under this hut to tell you about the last few spots we wanted to show you on this property. Right behind me is the pool bar, and on top of that is the Mexican restaurant. Now, we were able to dine at the Mexican restaurant for dinner on a night during our stay, and we also booked premium, so we were able to eat breakfast and lunch there as well. So we'll show you all those experiences as well as some footage from the pool bar.
Now this pool bar was one of the more minimally stocked of all the bars on the resort, but we loved it for its convenience to the quiet pool and its friendly staff. 1 floor up in the Mexican restaurant is where premium level guests can typically enjoy breakfast and lunch with a Caribbean view. But because this restaurant was under renovation for the majority of our stay, we were only able to dine here for 1 breakfast and a dinner. We'll tell you all about our premium level breakfast and lunch experiences in our other Occidental Caribe episode. But since dinner in the Mexican restaurant is available to all resort guests, we'll show you that experience right now. The first thing that came out was the chips, which came with guacamole, salsa, and nacho cheese. Not far behind were the drinks, and since Skylar couldn't decide between a beer and a margarita, our server brought him both. After soup, salad, and a Mexican sampler appetizer, our entrees arrived, which included tequila shrimp and ribs.
We just got done eating at the Mexican restaurant for dinner, and of the 3 specialty restaurants we tried during our stay, we thought this one had the best atmosphere. It was light and bright, it had a lot of Mexican decor, and even though we didn't get to sit outside on the patio, they had the windows open so we could still feel the sea breeze to keep us cool.
Now when it comes to the food, once again, we weren't overly impressed, but everything was pretty solid. Our favorite things were the chips and guac, the Mexican snack sampler, and the tequila shrimp entree. We were also really impressed with the service. Our food came out super quick and the servers were really friendly.
So it is still raining, but it has let up a little bit. We really want to show you the west end of the beach, so I think we're going to try to run out there to finish this tour before it starts pouring again. Now the west end of the beach has been our favorite. It did seem to be the least busy during our stay, and it's closest to the quiet pool. It does look really pretty now, but it looked even prettier this morning when the sun was shining. It's hard to believe the water is still this pretty even when it's cloudy and raining.
And while this beach may be beautiful on a cloudy day, we're gonna leave you with some sunshine, which fortunately there was plenty of during our stay at the Occidental Caribe. While you now should know your way all around this resort, we still have a whole lot more of the Caribe experience to show you. And to learn about everything that the premium status will get you and why we'd never book it again, go ahead and click here right now. Thanks for watching!